Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Inside the Foul podcast brings you the opinions and perspectives of a couple best friends. And if you don't like that call, we've got 3 words for you. You're out of here. We are your hosts focusing on development today. Chris and Ethan.
Listen, gotta learn how to do that before you can play baseball.
And that's the best part about it. But, baseball people love talking about tools, exit velocity, spin rate, launch angle. But the people who truly shape organizations, they're usually the ones obsessed with the details and nobody notices until they're missing. Today's guest is one of those baseball minds. Drew Martinez has quietly built a reputation inside the San Francisco organization as a teacher of the game in its purest form. Fundamentals, preparation, communication, and development. From managing in the Dominican Summer League with the DSL Giants Orange to helping develop players with the High A Eugene Emeralds and now serving as the fundamentals coach of the San Jose Giants. Drew has spent years working in the trenches of player development where careers are actually built. And that's the role that matters more than most people realize, because before prospects become names on MLB broadcasts, before the rankings and contracts and headlines, somebody has to teach them how to become professionals. Somebody has to build habits, accountability, instincts, and confidence. Somebody has to make sure that the game slows down for players chasing a dream in an environment designed to expose every weakness. That's the world Drew Martinez lives in every single day. He's worked across multiple levels of the Giants system, helping shape young players during some of the most important years of their baseball lives. And at an organization like San Francisco, one that continues emphasizing development, versatility, and baseball IQ throughout their farm system, coaches like Drew are foundational to everything the public eventually sees on the field. This conversation is about far more than mechanics and drills. It's about teaching leadership, culture, earning trust, and understanding what it takes to help young athletes grow, not just as players, but as professionals and people. So whether you're a baseball junkie, a coach, a player chasing the next level, or just somebody who loves how the game is developed from the inside out, you're going to love this one. This is Inside the Foul with Drew Martinez. Drew, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. Excited.
So let's start before the coaching, early on as a player. What's your first real memory of baseball, not just playing, but feeling like this mattered?
For me, it was more when I was a kid, running through locker rooms. Dad played, making the big leagues, played with the Orioles. For me, just running through locker rooms, I remember consistently just always being on the baseball field, growing up around it. For me, and my family, it was something that a lot of our people in our family did. So it didn't matter if I was at the field or at my grandmother's house or anywhere. There's always baseball. There was always somebody throwing something to you, and there was always somebody either picking up a stick or a broken broomstick or whatever it might be, and you're trying to hit it. And so growing up, for me, being in a locker room and then going and having, I have a younger brother as well, us always playing and our friends always playing. So like for me, it's like as a young child, like for me, that was when I was really introduced to the game, but also like just playing something that was a game. That's all it was to me. It was nothing else. I didn't think anything else of it. But for me, growing up and being in locker rooms, like that was everything. And then now that, it's gone past, seeing all that, like it's something you always cherish and always remember. It's in those type of locker rooms, and it was something that's an incredible thing. You don't realize it as a child and who was in those locker rooms, but at the same time, it's something that you do. You do, for me at least, I'm fortunate enough to have been old enough where I do remember that stuff.
So as a kid, you mentioned your dad was playing for the Orioles, and in those locker rooms, did you know that was going to be your path going forward? That you were going to try to pursue pro baseball, and what was that thought process for you?
No, the one thing my dad always talked about was he didn't care what sport we played. He wanted us just to enjoy it. That was his biggest concept. He hoped we'd play baseball, but if it was football or soccer or whatever, he didn't care. So his biggest goal was, if you play baseball, great, but you need to play other sports and figure it out. He kind of kept almost a limit on us of how much baseball we played because he wanted us to see if we liked other sports. And so that was kind of the biggest thing. But for like my dad to see my brother and I grow up and wanting to play baseball, of course, it made him excited. He was happy that we were playing. But again, at that moment, from a younger age, he wanted us to just play, not worry about the smaller things in the game or what's going on or any techniques. No, he wanted us to have fun, play the game, and enjoy the game. And he's like, when y'all are old enough, we'll start talking about stuff.
Okay. So, what when you went into college, did you go into with the mindset of playing ball, or did you focus more on your education?
For me, when I went in, it's like I went there because I was going there to play baseball. But for us at Memphis, like the education aspect was such a big deal. Coach Schoenrock was really into like you need to take care of your school, and he has specific guidelines set up. If you were not doing your part school wise, you were not on the baseball field. It just didn't matter. And so he understood that not everybody's gonna have an opportunity to play, but if you do your job in school, like you'll get out, you'll be fine, you'll get a job, like, and that's the biggest thing. But for him, it was, finding a way to make sure we handle our schoolwork, not just because he wanted us to make sure like we were good in life after that, but but for us, it was like, hey, you need to stay on the field. The only way you're going to stay on the field is do your job. I mean, we had to go to tutors, study hall, and if you miss that, it's a tough day for you after that because the whole team was either doing punishment runs, they were either doing some type of conditioning. It was you didn't want to miss. So he was pretty strict on it, and like for us, it was something that we took pride in, and we always had a high team GPA. We had guys that were extremely intelligent, but Schoenreich did a really good job, and he was really tough on us about that.
So, see, you must have made an impact there because you were inducted into their alumni Hall of Fame at University of Memphis. What was that experience like to kind of go back and be honored in that way?
It was shocking. I think when I got the call, actually, a kid I graduated high school with called me and said, "Hey, I want you to know what's going on." It was shocking. I think for me, it was cool. Just all my friends, all my family, going back to a school that I love. I still go to games. I still go to football games. I loved everything about the university. I think it was just more a surreal moment. You don't ever think about that stuff. The year before, a teammate of mine, Jacob Wilson, had gotten inducted as well. And so I was so happy for him. And you don't think about like, oh, they're going to call you next or anything like that. And just to get the call, a little surreal, especially for a university you played for them to think you in that light, pretty cool moment.
So, what made the transition from player to coach? Because you played in the minors in 2011 and 2012. I believe I got those dates correct. I'm not 100%. But what made that transition? What went into that decision?
Well, I wasn't sure. I played indie ball a couple years. I wasn't sure if I wanted to like flip in yet. I so while I was playing indie ball, I coached a high school baseball team as well until I left. Um, in 2016, I went back to like finally finish like my senior year. I wanted to go back. I wanted to get it done. So I went back to University of Memphis. Well, I ended up taking their volunteer coach or fourth coach, whatever you call, left. And then Sean Rock asked me like, "Hey, are you interested in doing this? But you're gonna have to give up baseball. We played throughout that time." And I was like, "Okay, well, this might be an opportunity." So I took it, and then from that moment on, it just happened that somebody left, went into professional baseball, opened a spot. I jumped into to a college wise, and then it was more of a which route am I going to go? Am I going to go stay in college or am I going to go into professional? And that was kind of my thought process. I wasn't sure. For me at that moment, college was the best bet. I wanted to kind of stay in college baseball, but kind of as it went on, that's when I wanted to start flipping over to the other side.
So, when it comes to your coaching identity, when you made that transition, did that come naturally, or did you have, an adjustment period?
I mean, there are adjustment periods. I think as any when you jump from player to coach, there's a certain aspect where you still want to play the game, you miss the game, but I think it takes away that little bit of just missing it being there. But the hardest thing is like not thinking about it how you would do it as a player. You got to think about it from like a whole team spectrum, and what helps one guy might not help the other, even if it's your idea or your thought process. And so you have to check your ego a little bit, but you have to be really cautious with A, what you say, and B, how you say it. And the biggest thing, like especially my dad, the first thing he told me was like, no matter what, always shoot them straight. Doesn't matter if you know the answer or not. Just shoot them straight. You lie to them once, you lose them forever. And so that's something where, from when I started to now, I tell them exactly what I'm thinking, why I'm thinking it. There's every reason behind it. There's answers behind it. There's information, and if I don't know, I'll make sure I find either what it is or someone that does.
Okay, so you talk about you had to check portions of your ego. What part of your identity was the hardest to let go of?
Um, More just the player side. I because I still wanted to play. Just like anybody, you don't want to be told, or you don't want to move on from playing. The playing side of it's such a blast. It's so much fun. The camaraderie, the chemistry, the relationships you build. Um, Fortunately for me, I've won championships. Like that stuff, you don't you miss that stuff. But then for me, it was like jumping on the coaching side, it gives you that in a sense, but you miss the everyday grind of just playing, the build up to the season, opening day. It's just in a different form for me now. That's the
So
biggest thing.
tell me a little bit about the Dominican Summer League. What's something about managing in the Dominican that on the outside, because we don't really get to see those games. So what's that like from the coach's perspective when you're working with a lot of those up and coming prospects?
I think the biggest thing in the Dominican is it's I talk about it like it's 16 to 20-year-old kids. Essentially, it's like when you hand a 16-year-old kid or think about handing a 16-year-old kid a Ferrari and say, drive it. How's he going to drive it? As fast and full as possible. He's going to take off and he's going to see if he can get 100 as quickly as possible. These kids, a lot of them are like that. They have this Ferrari inner parts. They just don't know how to control it. And it's our job to teach them how to have the fundamentals, how to walk them through things, because they will go 100 miles an hour and they're playing way too hard, out of control, or they get a little timid. They don't want to make a mistake. They're afraid to do it. So it's like, how do you combine that for us? It's the Dominican was such an incredible experience. I was there 3 years. The staff I had was incredible. Made my life way easier, especially down there when I wasn't. I didn't really speak it fluently at all. It was just they made my life so much easier. But the best thing was like being around the players every day because they're so happy to be there. It's so much fun. The complex is beautiful. I wish they would televise it. They do on like YouTube and stuff like that, but nothing to the extent of what minor league baseball is.
So, what's a moment down there that stuck with you? It doesn't have to be baseball
Um,
related because I feel like some of the stories y'all could probably get down there with those young guys.
I mean, it's quite impressive to see how people live down there. Um, a moment that stuck with me is just going to like we went into the city for one of our coaches' birthdays, and just the amount of people that showed up was just unbelievable because everybody knew him, and it was just you think of all birthday party, a few people are going to show up, 20, 30. I mean, it was incredible amount of people. And then from the baseball side, it was just something where I think it was we played our own team and we had a family day. And I don't know if they've done it since they had a family day. It was on Saturday. Everybody came. All everybody's families came. And it was one of the more electric, exciting games I've ever been a part of. For these kids to be able to play in front of their families, for these kids to be able to, sit there and perform in front of their families. But a fortunate part for us was it was like a 15-hour, it was like a 4 hour, 4.5 hour game, 4 hour, 45-minute game, which is insanely long. And there was like 15 walks, 15 hits, like almost uh, each each team. And then it was like 30 runs combined scored. and they won on they actually unfortunately won on a walk-off balk.
Oh man.
That's the Dominican. The situation builds, walk-off balks happen, little things happen that just don't, it's teaching them how to win in those moments, but it's also teaching them like when you do lose, those are learning moments.
So
But it was the Dominican was just an incredible thing. I mean, there's a ton. Like even from sitting on a beach with your coaches, hanging out, talking baseball, or we go to staff dinners and going to different restaurants, being able to sit there and talk just off the field, hang out, like that stuff's absolutely incredible. It's memories you won't get rid of. It's memories you see, but even like down there, just it's a beautiful country. But like we lived in Wandolio, and the city was just like that little area, so kind of a resort area a little bit, but it's in the DR. Like it's not Americanized very much. So like when you're there, you need to, a lot of Russian people go there in that little area, which we didn't realize. But for us, it was more being in that little areas. Wandoli was absolutely incredible. We really enjoyed it. So
it sounds like quite an experience. And when you're talking about the players, you mentioned that from 16 to to 18, 20, maybe 20 years old, like that's dealing with a lot of different characters and a lot of different backgrounds. You know, is there a player that challenged you as a coach in how you had to adapt in coaching that player to get through to them?
every day, every play, there are like 3 years I managed. There's been a half the team that would challenge you in A, how you coached, but B, what information you're telling them and why you're telling them. Because a lot of those kids have had people tell them and kind of beat around the bush, little answers and stuff like that. And everybody wanted to mark their name on them because they're a higher prospect or they're giving money or and like, so it's for those kids, they read through anything so fast. And some of those kids, they just, the way they grew up, what the cities they came from, it might not be talking about them on the baseball field. They might be talking about eating food because of the amount of food they had available. More getting them to eat food or, oh, I'm too full for the game. No, it's not the point. We need you to eat. Like little things like that, or just kids that they like to challenge you, see what they can get away of. Anywhere from 16 to 20. You know how you were at 16 to 20. I mean, I was the same way. It's challenge. You want to challenge, see what you can get away with, and then for us, fortunately for us, we would catch a lot of it early, or if we didn't, we would hear about it and then we would address it. But fortunately for us, the Giants do a really nice job with how they go get players, the character that on those players, thankfully. But you know how it is. Every team deals with it. You have kids that want to challenge, kids that want to see what they can get away with. Kids that always have an excuse when they do get caught, and then from us, it's telling them again and again. And I'm hoping by the time they go to the States, all that is gone.
So, have you ever had to handle a situation that had nothing to do with baseball with these guys?
100%. We too much, more than we would like to admit, but I mean, it's a part of it. Like, it was something where like one thing where kids they like to order food, right? And they could, on Saturdays they could order food or whatever it might be. But the issue is like we have a cafeteria with a ton of food, chefs that make it, and so we would have to monitor if they ordered things, whatever. Everything had to be brought into a certain area, and kids knowing they'd order food at a time they shouldn't, or go get food at a time they shouldn't, and that'd be an issue, because those complexes are guarded for reasons,
Yeah.
and so those complexes are guarded, so you have to be careful walking around them, and I think that's the biggest thing. But for us, it was small, minuscule stuff in the scheme of things, but down there we had to make them feel bigger, just because we need to these kids understand you can't go do what you want every single time you want to do it. You're in this complex, you're living here, you have no car, you have no way to get somewhere. So, and we give you everything. That's the biggest thing. We give you everything: food, water, snacks, 3, 4 meals a day. Like we give you everything. Just eat what we got. But I
See,
get it.
And but see, that goes to teaching the professionalism. So you guys aren't just making sure they're learning the game, but you're teaching them the professional side. But
Mhm.
everyone just sees the big leagues. They see what's televised. They see the minor league teams in their towns. But what's the
Mhm.
reality of that daily grind in low A?
For these boys here, it's a lot of these guys. They're either really young Latin players that are extremely talented, or they're fresh out of college kids. For them, if I guess let's say from the hitter side, right? It's learning how many swings or how much you can do on a day to day or week to week basis before you end up putting yourself in a position where you wear yourself down. I think we see that now more than ever. First 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, after an off day, they're good. We put them through work, we wear them out, we get them everything development wise they need, early work, defensively, base running, BP, early cage work, all that, and they're fine. It's usually for us, it's kind of after that we kind of see a little downfall, so it's like for them learning what they can do because the college kids you get every Monday, Thursday off, right? Well, and then the younger Latin kids, it's they know it's in the DR, but again, Wednesdays and Sundays are off. So, and then they go to Arizona, and then it's Sunday off, not Monday. So it's like they're learning different off days, but playing at night and day, playing in different weather climates. In Arizona, it's incredibly hot. Right now in Fresno, it's like 60 degrees. It's just learning these environments and then learning for them what's going to work for them because sometimes on a Friday you need to take less, unfortunately, and they don't know that, they don't learn that, and the only way to learn that, unfortunately, is for them to put themselves through it, us talk to them, and then try to scale them back a little bit. But for these kids, it's a huge learning process. The only way for them to learn is unfortunately for them to go through tough times, and for them, a lot of them we have for like the last 2 3 weeks they've been figuring out the ups and downs of what minor league baseball is and what's too little and what's too much. So
So when you're working with these guys and you're putting them through the development, like, would you rather have a player that is, has all the tools but struggling, or a guy that's struggling and then figures it out? And like, what in that aspect is the more rewarding as a coach?
I think, I mean, the guy with all the tools, you kind of don't expect, but you kind of hope he's going to figure it all out, right? You kind of hope that are things that click, and they always talk about players that make it to the big leagues, and they're just like, well, you didn't have to give them a ton, you had to keep them within the walls, but you didn't have to give them a ton, or as long as they're within the rails, like they're fine, they'll move forward. But the guys that figure it out, those are fun because it's the work and the hours and the time, the mental, the physical, how exhausted they are, and for it to finally click, it's a beautiful thing because you see the switch go, and they're like, I got it, I got it, I know what you're talking about, and now then they're putting the real with the feel, maybe swing wise, maybe delivery wise, whatever it might be, and then it's fun because it's a you can see them fully enjoying the game because as well as I do, during those moments, it's not exactly the most fun. You're grinding it out. You're failing, depending on what side of the ball you're on. You're failing a lot. You're questioning yourself. You're trying to figure out if should I be playing this game? Is this what I want to? All those thoughts go through your head. They all do. Even if you're more than talented enough, it's how you. But it's in those moments when that happens. It's you are not only excited for the player, but you're excited for what he's gonna do. And so it takes a long time, a lot of hours, and that's what these kids are, in low way specifically, are learning. The amount of time it takes. That's the biggest thing.
So is there a moment where you saw a player get it and you knew they were different after that?
I mean, yes, there's been a few that the minute they've kind of figured it out, minute they've kind of like they've taken one swing after they've been working on something for so long, and then you start seeing the result pay off. And you're just like, oh, it's no longer the process. You don't have to worry about the process because the rules going to start clicking a little more. There's been a few, even on this team right here, there's been some kids where they've grinded. They've really done everything they could to tweak and take swings and deliver and get on the mound and work and work and work, and it's starting to pay off slowly for them, and it's the best feeling because you're excited that players not only helping themselves and getting better, but like they're making strides forward, they're progressing forward because they're during that process it's like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, and then you're actually for the mental side, just you're worried about them more mentally than they are physically. Physically, they can handle it. Mentally, it's like, are they going to bury themselves? Are they going to be really upset at themselves if they have one tough day? And for us, luckily for us, we have a bunch of kids who are very strong on all aspects, and they do talk out loud. They vent to us. They talk to us. They trust us. So they're all in with what we want and what our staff wants. And it takes times, and sometimes where even when we feel like we've pushed them forward, it still not be the result we want. As long as we need to make sure they're taking strides forward, that's all that matters. And they're going to take steps back. It happens. It's baseball. You
Yeah.
could feel your best. You could feel your best in the cage, and it just doesn't line up on the field. Welcome to the game. Like that's just how it is. You tell the players all the time. You feel great in the bullpen. You go out and you're just not. You're spraying everything. Welcome. That's baseball. So it's just a part of it.
And see, you talk about the trust with the players where they come to you and they'll talk. Like that's a testament to you guys as coaches to have that level of trust with your players, so that when you're teaching them these fundamentals of the game, they're able to listen. So when we talk about fundamentals, what does that actually mean for a coach to a player outside of drills?
I mean, it's as simple as just playing catch, like, and not just like playing catch on the foul line. It's as simple as like catching a ground ball, throwing it to the bag, just playing catch, doing simplified things. And people don't realize, like, if you watch a game and just the ability for a team just to play catch, whether it's throwing the ball from the outfield to the infield, whether it's throwing the ball from third base to first base, whether it's throwing it from catcher to second base, the ability to, or just even on the mound, the ability just to play catch is so crucial that a lot of people don't look at it that way, but sometimes that's all it is. We catch every ground ball, we catch every fly ball, whatever, but we miss a cut, or we short hop the first baseman, or we go to throw the ball, on a stolen base and throw it in the center field. Now he gets the third base. Those little, for me, it's like, can they play catch? That's all we want. We want them to play catch. We expect them to field the ground ball. We expect them to catch the fly ball. We expect the catcher to throw the ball to second base and catch it and transfer to be good. We expect all that stuff. We work on it. We do it a million times every week. But can they play catch? It's so crucial. And you'd be surprised, even at the highest level, how much they don't. And so it's something we talk about consistently. Like, make the routine play. Like, we every single day, play catch. Make the routine play.
So, as a coach, and I'm sure you've had it in the past. Players resisting wanting to do the fundamentals because it's monotonous or whatever the case may be. Why do you see some of those players resist the fundamental work?
I think for those guys, they want to be challenged a little more. They want, and we've had some guys like that. They want to be challenged. They feel like they're not getting better, and I understand from that aspect. It makes sense. But luckily for us, we have a specific routine. Like, say, from an individual standpoint, they have a specific routine they do all the time, every day, same routine. That's if they do anything, it's that routine that day, no matter what. And I think infield, from the infield standpoint, they've really bought into what they're doing, not just because it's kind of like in hitting, you go through your same setup, whatever it might be, right? To feel good, to feel like you've warmed up, you've gotten kind of where you want to be before you really go at it swing wise. It's the same concept for them. They go through the same fundamental work every day, and it's crucial. And for them, they feel it slows the game down for them. It's a more controlled environment. It allows them to focus on the footwork or the hands or what their body's doing without it getting too, or without it going too far, without it becoming too like, how it is. You start hitting ground balls, all of a sudden it's, unfortunately, it's hard to hit. Sometimes it's hard to hit a fungo where you want to, or you think you're hitting it right at him and you spray it side to side. You're like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry, man. And so that happens, but It allows them to stay close to you. You can control it. You can keep within range. It allows them to get every bit of work in. And for us, that's everything.
So, at a coach at your level, is teaching fundamentals really about baseball, or is it discipline, trust, or habit?
You still have to teach fundamentals. You still have to walk them through the game. It doesn't matter how high they go. It's you'd be surprised how many players maybe either have been taught, or for us it's like the game still just it rolls really fast. It's a different speed when they come here from college, or every level you advance the game gets a little faster. So it's teaching them how to play within that speed, and understand and think and process the game at a really fast rate. You'd be surprised how many college kids we get that their main goal was just win baseball games. They didn't really teach them very much. And that's the biggest thing, especially when I was in college, fundamentals was everything. You got crushed on fundamentals. We had a drill package called the fundamental series, and it was everything fundamentally based within defense. And it was 50 minutes, 4 minutes a station. You had 1 minute to change, and it was 10 stations. So it was just nonstop, 50 minutes of straight defense. And you're just constantly going. And we had 2 sets of it. So we had to do 1 set one day, 1 set the next. But defense was everything. Where now it's people get so focused on, oh, we have to hit homers, or let me as long as you hit homers, you'll never have to really play defense. It doesn't matter how good your defense is, or they'll find a place on the field. They're not necessarily wrong, but for us as an organization, like if you don't play defense, or you're struggling defensively, and you haven't already entered yourself in the MLB as an elite dominant hitter, you're probably not going to make it, and that's just unfortunate. And that's just the way it is. But you have to understand the fundamentals, and those fundamentals are not just defense. It's running the bases correctly. Are you getting the right reads? Are you turning the bases the right way? It's from a hitting standpoint. Can you move a runner? Can you bunt? People talk about that, but we bunt all the time. It's like, can you do that stuff? Even last night we bunted. We had first second no outs with our, at the time I think our 4-hole bunt, like, and he got it down. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
It is. Those are fundamentals that people are trying to get away from, or they're saying that it doesn't matter. It does, and it shows up. It's showing up more now in MLB than ever. Teams are starting to set safety squeeze. Teams are starting to bunt. Teams are starting to run bases. The Rays specifically running the bases, like how they run, how they run, they bunt, they play defense, they do little stuff. They pitch and play defense, and they just get timely hits. Like, just the way the game's going. It's a circle all the time. That's all it does.
Listen, as a baseball coach, I'm going to clip that and I'm going to show it to every team. Like, it's people still bunt, because my team literally looks at me and go, "Why do we bunt?" I'm like, "Because you got to learn it." They're like, "We don't see it in the majors." I'm like,
Ask the Miami Marlins and the Rays this season.
Yeah.
Those two are the two most pesky teams in the league right now.
They all
playing
bunt.
small ball.
The Red Sox tried to do it yesterday on Chris Sale. First third,
Yeah.
got to try to bunt.
yeah.
Like, teams are doing it. Cubs did it. Cubs are doing it. I've seen them do it a couple times. Like, teams are doing it, and we do it specifically. As an organization, we've always bunted. And when you go to Oracle Park, it's not exactly easy to hit balls out. So you have to find ways to move guys. You have to find ways to win games. Produce runs, and for us, it's you're gonna have to bunt. You have to know how to bunt, whether you like it or not. And we talk about it, and we constantly bring it up every day. And for us, luckily for us, we've been fortunate enough where we've gotten bunts down. Guys will drag bunt on their own, just constantly putting in their head. If you're having a tough day at the plate, you know what's going to help you? Drag bunt. Like, you face a tough arm, what's going to help you? Drag bunt. Like, not every day you're going to walk in. Like, especially certain guys, like, you're facing left on left, and the guy's got plus stuff, or he's got an elite fastball and a good secondary pitcher. Like, I don't want to face this guy. This guy's tough arm. It's tough arm. Bunt. Like, perfect time. So trust me, we work on it. We tell like every time I tell my kids that I train in off season, like, you're gonna have to bunt. And so we'll go through bunting stuff. And then it's ironic, they get called up to a game or whatever, and the first thing to do is bunt. I told you, you have to show you can do that. It's a part of it. And then here we said we don't care if you're leadoff hitter, 4-hole, 7-hole, whatever you're bunting. Whether you like it or not, you're bunting. Yeah, right.
Listen.
So when you're managing a lot of these guys from college age to 16, a lot of them are still learning how to fail, especially in
Mm.
this sport, because this sport, not only is the on-field 50%, 70% failure, but then you've got the other half of the game where it's the business side. How do you, as the development coach, help these players with that portion of the development? Fail in a sport where 70% failure on field, and you as the development coach, you're also managing players who've never seen the business side of baseball, especially in low A. What does that look like from you and teaching and developing that aspect of the game?
I think when it comes to, like, the business side for the players specifically, we try to we for us at least, we don't get too incredibly involved in that for their aspect. They usually all have agents and all that kind of stuff. But for us, it's we tell them to focus on the field as much as possible. We know there's going to be a ton of distractions when it comes to that. People asking them why they're not playing. People asking them, well, if they're playing, why they're not playing well. People coming at them with, maybe gear or some type of endorsements or something. For us, we tell the players, go with what you feel, for the most part, is right or fits you or fits who you are as an individual. And then from that aspect, it's for us, it's, they also have to understand, like, we talk about a lot of things and numbers and money and stuff like that. And it's the way the game's going. But for us, it's like, when you do stuff on the field, when you produce on the field, when you're doing things on the field, like, at the end of the day, like, that's money too. It may not be in the terms of the money you might want it to be, where the big leaguers are getting all that, but you're creating value. And, at the end of the day, it's how can you create the most value for you as a player? And that takes more than just hitting, unfortunately. For them, they think sometimes it's just hitting, and it's not. We have guys who create incredible amounts of value as a base runner, as a defender. And for us, there are times where you see players make a team purely because they can base run and defend and then do a little bit with the bat. It's being able to see, it's being able having them understand that. But from the business side, it's, I mean, we try to we try to be careful with what we say business wise, because sometimes that's way above what what we're allowed to say or what our pay grade is. So we stay within the confines a lot of times and say, hey, we're about baseball and baseball only, and that's what we can do. And for us, but the players will mess with us and they'll joke with us about little things within that. And but for them, a lot of them have agents and they have they handle all that stuff for them. We try to we for us at least, our staff, we do what we can to give them advice. And if they ask questions about anything within business or within that aspect, we'll give them what we think or what our opinion would be. But we tell them, like, hey, it's take what you want to take, and what you don't, go out. We're not gonna hurt our feelings. So we just kind of, that's how we take it. For us, we try to stay within the confines of baseball and how can we help you get where you want to be. And for us, sometimes it's like, is it money? Is it your family? What is it? What gets you where you want to be? What's your thought process? What pushes you? What drives you? And we'll help you get there. And so that's kind of how we take it. Business side, we try to we're very careful with how we attack a business side of things.
So, is there a conversation that you've had with a player that's kind of stuck with you over your time as a coach?
I mean, for me, the conversation that kind of stick with me are more the relationships you build with the guys. Being able to talk to them on a more personal level. I think once they do that, I think, not only do they trust you more, you start to get to know who they are as an individual and where they came from, what their backgrounds are. Because a lot of these kids, they're very different of where they've all come from. And that's the beautiful part. It doesn't matter if you've come from just a beautiful background or you come from nothing. It's You're the same on the baseball field. It does not matter. So for me, the conversations I've really enjoyed are just the ones where I'm one on one. I'm asking them questions. I'm getting to know them. I'm talking to them, and then as you continue to build that relationship, it's the conversations are easier. The conversations become uh, more. I think for me at least, they become almost to the point where it's almost a little confidential, where they tell you things that, like, They don't normally tell people stuff, but that's just them opening up about certain aspects of their life, and that's just a part of the relationship building in the game. It's crucial. You have to build relationships with players. If you don't build a relationship with a player, it's very hard for me to ask you to tell them to do something or tell them why you want them to do something, because they just can look at you like, I don't. It's realistically, it's their career. They can be like, no, I don't want to. So if you do not build a relationship with a player, get to know them, talk with them, it's going to be hard to learn, I guess, what makes them tick or click or what makes them go, because they'll open up about what helps them. And I think that's the biggest thing. And, it's even to the point where I'll text a player that's now on the AA team, because he likes to eat a bag of donuts every morning for breakfast on the road. That's his thing. He likes it, and he's one of the best players in baseball right now. But I always text him and ask him, like, you got 6 this week? He's like, yep. That's just a part of it. I always wore him out about it, but when he does what he does, it's like, well, as well as he plays, you're like, well, I can't say a ton. You might have to change your diet as you go up, but it's just one of those kids. He's just the personality's hilarious, and he doesn't really care. He just, hey, this is what I want. I'll wake up, eat me a bag of donuts throughout the day, and I'm good. So it's just stuff like that you remember guys do,
That's
and you're just like,
amazing.
well, there's that.
Are they good flavored donuts? Does he's like,
Just gets powdered
There's
sugar.
whatever,
yeah,
the
yeah?
traditional powdered sugar. He'll
Oh
go
man,
like, it's I eat every day bag. Sitting at the gym, bag. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I gotta get my fuel in. All right.
I might have a new favorite player now. Okay.
But yeah, it's just something where these kids, I'm sure he'll probably come out and say what he does, but he's just, I see it every day. I'm like, that's not part of our nutrition program, but whatever.
That's amazing. So, speaking of people that get called up, so what separates a player that moves up compared to one that stays down? Because we don't really see it on the fan side of it. What's that look like on y'all side?
I think the biggest thing for us is unfortunately it's somebody getting hurt. That's the unfortunate part. Somebody usually gets hurt, somebody gets traded, whatever it might be. The right guy who has progressed through our system how we want him to, is playing well. And for us, it's a lot of times, like, when a guy goes up for the first time, is he truly ready to go? And sometimes it might be it's usually later in the year. They want him to get experience because they do expect him to make strides to play on the team next year. So that plays into it. But for us, it's more, what value is he going to bring to the team? I think the hardest thing is bringing a player up and hoping he plays well, uh, and hoping he sticks. You never know. The game's a different animal in the big leagues. It doesn't matter what it is in AAA, how well you're doing in AAA. The game's a different animal in the big leagues. And so the hardest thing for them is, I guess from a fan aspect, is like, give them time. They're not going to come up and destroy the game immediately. We want them to. We pray they do. But the reality is the game finds a way. And it's like, can they adjust on the fly, and how well they handle it? I think I always tell my buddies of mine they're fans of the team. They're like, oh, we brought up this guy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just give him time, man. He's gonna pan out. He's a talented player. Even guys that go up for the first time, they struggle, and then they go down, and then they go back, and then they're great. Just a part of it. They gotta learn. But I think from a fan aspect, it's, you want them to go up and really excel. But the reality of the game is players are too talented. Guys that have been there for 8, 10, 12 years, they know exactly what and how they're going to pitch them. They have every scattering report on them, what they are good with, what they struggle with, and you know what they're going to do. They're going to try to exploit what they struggle with. But I think from a fan aspect, it's you want, your prospects or the big name guys to always go up and perform and excel. But the big leagues are a different world, different animal. I hear it all the time from our coaches. We have 2 coaches who've played in the big league, and they both talk about it all the time. Like, When you go up there, it's a different animal. It doesn't matter what it is. The lights are bigger. You got cameras everywhere. You got people yelling your name constantly. There's 50,000 fans in the stands. There's a ton of distraction. It's like how do you get used to the distraction? How quickly can you normalize it? Because it's going to be there whether you like it or not. Reporters could be in the room. You got people constantly wanting to interview you. You got people always sending you stuff. You got people always yelling for you. The distractions are there. How quickly can you normalize it and just focus on what your tunnel vision of what you're trying to do? But go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just gonna ask. So, like, as a development coach, you see a lot of the scouting reports on guys from the scouts, right?
Hmm.
So
We do.
when you're looking at those, because there's been notorious players that have had mediocre scouting reports who've turned out to be phenomenal athletes at even the pro level. What's something that you're looking at in those scouting reports for those players that may come across your desk as just mediocre?
From I guess for me, from more just hitting side, like, is there some bat to ball skills? Is it, what does the strikeout numbers look like? From a pitching side, realistically, it doesn't like I hear all the time. It doesn't matter how hard you throw ball for. Like, it doesn't matter if you're throwing ball for 99 miles an hour. Okay, great, but like, Can we get it within the box? Can we get it in the strike zone? You know, and that's the biggest thing. I think guys tend to, when it comes to that, they for me, the guys that the profile is not off the charts. Those are the guys that maybe are late developers who need a year, 2 or 3 in the weight room, learning kind of what they do. Sometimes guys get to us and they just excel and take off because A, they're challenged every day. B, they get a ton of information. They're given more information than they've ever gotten. And then C, it's like we have guys right now that have come to us, said the same thing you're saying, like they profiled as average players, but then they come to us and they take off because we've given them all these different resources from a professional side on top of a weight program, food, everything you can ask for as a baseball player now. When we would get peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in our locker room every day, now they get catered meals, they get all this type of food. For us, it's half the battles. Are they on the way on? Are they on the right weight program? Are they gaining weight and getting stronger? That knocks out half the battles for them when it comes to like how they move, how they swing the bat, how they throw, it all translates over to, are they eating right and are they working out and getting sleep? And those average players typically take off because they're doing all that, and then they just get the right resources. The hitting coaches help them in the right ways. We help them just enough without going overboard, like, and things click. And for those kids, usually they're mentally stronger as well for the most part, so they can handle failure a little more. Um, but that's what happens typically with a lot of those players, that their profiles come off as an average profile. They hit a little bit in college, but they're average profiles, and they come to us and they turn it on.
So, you talk about, all the resources and everything, and then not tipping the scale too far one direction or the other. Um, when it comes to the analytics, do you guys kind of keep that in a back burner and allow that to be used at the higher levels, or is this something you expose them to, at that low A level?
We expose it all the way down to the Dominican. The biggest thing is we use analytics to justify what we're seeing. That's the way we use analytics. We don't use analytics to say, hey, this is this is what your swing is, this is what it needs to be, because you're just showing them numbers. You're not telling them or helping them feel what you need to feel, and that's a bigger issue. You do see teams that'll use that specifically, and have guys that'll tell you how you need to swing the bat and all that. But if you're not showing them, it's hard to put two and two together. I think the real versus feel is so drastic sometimes for these players, depending on age, um, where you can use the analytics to justify, hey, it's getting better, right? And that's how we use them. We use the analytics to justify what we see, why we see it, and then we go from there. And to us, we yes, we use them, but we try to be careful about how much we use them and why we use them. Because we all know we can. It's so much information overload where you can look at 17 different numbers and you're trying to figure out what they all mean, and two of them only matter, and that's it. And so like it's just I think trying to teach them as you go up, give them just a little more every year, and allow them to consistently build a thought process of like, all right, we don't need to give them a full scouting report or full, analytics, a full like, say, I don't say, I'll use like blast motions for example, because everybody knows blast motion. It's like you look at all the numbers on there, and you might only know one or two. You might know the exit velo because of course that's what everybody wants, or you might know the miles per hour because that's what everybody wants. But you don't know what the spin access is. You don't know what the RPMs necessarily mean or what they translate over to. You don't know what the horizontal or vertical break is, or why it translates, or why it's good, or why it's just okay. Like, but you're not. You don't need to worry about that. That's the coach's job. Your goal is like, can you throw a strike? Can you hit the ball consistently hard? Like those are the biggest things. And after for us, it's taking that information and giving opening it up a little more every year, giving them the miles per hour and how many strikes they threw. And then the next year it's like get them the miles per hour, how many strikes, what their fastball is doing, how it plays, how their breaking ball plays. Done. Next year, then it's like opening it up more and more and more after that. So they're not information overload and they're trying to process seven things at once. And some of these kids, maybe some of the Latin kids, they've never grown up with iPads and all this stuff. So they're trying to learn all that stuff. And so it's hard. It's trying to be aware with what they've been acclimated to, and then kind of go from there.
Okay. See, I like that from the perspective that we've coached youth from our kids on up, and it's like that's almost a lost aspect of coaching is that
Mhm.
portion. So that brings me to my next question. Through everything that we've talked about, from the analytics to the relationships to the mentality and the fundamentals, what part of coaching challenges you the most personally?
Biggest for me, the
You there?
yes.
You're good.
I
I
can.
can
I'm
add
gonna
in.
Okay,
re-ask the
perfect.
question. Yep.
Okay.
So, what part of coaching challenges you the most personally?
I think the biggest challenge coaching wise is the day to day. I think the day to day grind. I think it's when when the team has had a tough day, it's getting them to fully get back in. I think at times, when the team is struggling, or when certain guys are struggling, they have a tendency to, you know, they'll want to look at either too much, or they'll be too, I guess, I don't want to use the wrong words, but they'll be too basically they'll be feeling a little too sad. I'll say that. That's the biggest thing. It's like the woe is me. I'm not I'm not doing what I should be doing, or my average is falling, or whatever it might be. Or they'll look at too much information and they'll go in and take too many swings, or they'll go in and overthink things. And I think that plays into it. And that's but for us, the biggest challenge is just like getting them to buy into doing the little things every single day, getting them to go in and take care of their dynamic warm up or their performance prep, and getting their lifts in and eating like it's getting them to do little things that add up to the big scale of things. And it's trying to talk them through that consistently and constantly say, hey, are you eating food? Hey, are you getting in enough protein? Hey, are you getting enough ground balls? Like, are you taking the right outfield reads in BP? Because that's the truest read you're going to get. Are you handling your work on defense? Are you listening in our hitters meetings? Are you like, it's getting them to do little things consistently. That's our biggest challenge, especially when the night before that guy or player has had a tough night. That's when it's very tough. But fortunately for us, like especially with this team, we've got some guys who are pretty strong mentally. We've got some guys with some pedigree of their fathers playing as well, so they've understood what to expect. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. They understand. And so for us, it's those are our biggest challenges. It's how do you talk to them when they have struggled, or when you are working on something, and it's not clicking or it's not working. um, how do you talk to them about that? Is it because of what they're doing is not working, or is it because of what they swung at's bad? Do they chase, or were they overthrowing on the mound? What is it? So those are the hardest conversations, but it's you're trying to motivate them and keep them going forward. But I understand, like, if there's needs to be a change or there needs to be a tweak, we make that tweak.
Okay. So I've only got a couple more questions before I let Chris ask, his rapid fire fun questions. But years from now, what do you hope players say about you and your coaching, style?
For me, I think I want players to say that I cared, say that I consistently consistently cared. That's my biggest thing. I'm pretty high energy. I keep a pretty consistent energy throughout the game. I'm always walking around. I'm talking to players. I'm always messing with them in the outfield. I'm always pretty high energy all the time. But for me, I want them to know I at least say or believe I cared. That's the biggest thing. I want them to know I cared, not just about their career, but about who they were as a person, who they were as who they were on and off the field. To me, is so much bigger. And really off the field, getting to know them off the field, like that's what I want to know. Like, they know I care every day. Every day I care when they come to the field. When they're with us, I care. If they're no longer with us, I still care. Because we know the game is tough. It's unfortunately, and not everybody's going to make it. But to know, like, hey, I cared about when you were here. I still care about you off the field. I still care about you when you're away from the game. That's all. That's my biggest thing. I want them to know that.
Why does this work matter to you?
It matters to me because you're sometimes getting kids who maybe, and realistically, for some of these kids, you are the father figure, or your staff is the father figure for them, or you're like brothers for them. You talk to them on a more personal level. We're not too much older than these kids right now as it is, especially our staff. So it's being able to. It matters to not just me, but to our staff, because you're helping a kid and you're a player in his career, and you're grinding every day with them. You're in the trenches with them every day. It's fun. It matters to me because it's fun. It's plain and simple. It's fun. It's every day is a joy. We all love the game, but every day is a joy, and it's that grind of figuring things out day in and day out. It's hard to replicate in other areas. I've grown up around the game, and maybe it's a false reality being in professional baseball as a coach, and I'm teaching a kids game, but it's a joy. It's so much fun because you look out, the same 5-year-old child is having just as much fun as your 24-year-old player, you know, or your 37-year-old man on TV. Like, they're all having fun, and so I think for me, it matters to me because you're impacting their life, not just on the field but off the field. You're teaching them some of them how to act on the field and off the field, teaching them some of them how to build a better character, or be a better man, or really just be a friend. I think that's something that's lost. In sports, it becomes so, like you say, there's a business side of it, and sometimes that gets lost. The relationships you build are everything. And I think for me, that's what matters most. Can you have fun? Can you build relationships? can you on and off the field be the same individual, win or lose? Those are the hardest things to do. So I think that for me, that's why it matters to me. I grew up in the game. I grew up in the game with my father playing. My family in general played. I grew up in it. So like for me, it matters to me because maybe for me, it's a lot of what I've known. But also it's just I love the game. It's fun to me. I don't see myself doing something else. So, but it's something that I love more than anything else. I love it. I've always loved it. Loved it as a child. There's one person I love more, but right now I love the game. Oh,
I love that answer. So Chris is going to ask my last question before we go into the rapid fire. He wanted to ask this one specifically.
So if someone followed you for a full season and truly understood your job, what would surprise them the most?
I think how much how much coaches are also opening up to players. It's not just players building relationships, telling like how much the players know about us, and the amount of how and also how players get on each other for everything. Not like in like a negative way, but like they will wear each other out for everything. You would think with it being so every day in and day out, the intensity being there consistently, you're always getting in work, everybody's the same goal. I think the biggest thing that would surprise them is how everybody is, like at least from our team aspect, because it's such a unique situation, but how much fun the players have consistently getting after each other, wearing each other out for everything they do, whether it be put on their shoes wrong, or whether it be something they did in the outfield, messing or like tripping and falling or whatever, or them finding everything about them, finding old pictures and showing everybody. Or it's just you'd be surprised how much players go after each other, because there's been, I think, a little bit of, especially with college baseball and NIL, you're flipping teams and colleges or whatever so much, where here you don't do that. So I think that the aspect of that, they'd be extremely surprised about, of how even if somebody doesn't know somebody, it doesn't matter if you're Latin, American, what, everybody goes after everybody. And it's a fun thing. It's a rare, unique situation as well that we have. It's I think that's the biggest surprise. And then probably the amount of food these players eat. It's absolutely incredible. Just the amount of food these kids eat. It's I mean, I get the professionals, but some of these players, they can put down some food. But it's I mean, it can go that question can go many ways, with especially this team. It can go many ways. Being you walk into something surprise you walk into something, you're surprised every day by either something they say or something they do, and you're just like, oh, like what are we doing? But it's a part of it. What makes it fun. It what makes the locker room fun. And they do a good job of keeping things loose in the locker room. Specifically, a few players, they keep it loose in the locker room for everybody, and it's what keeps our team, I think, when things aren't going always the best, and in a positive light.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for interviewing with us and talking about all this. At this point, Chris gets to ask his little fun questions.
Okay.
Listen, I have fun questions. I cannot be the serious one. Favorite jersey you've ever gotten to wear as a player or coach?
Last year in Eugene, we had a Sandlot game. So we had a Sandlot baseball uniform. Best one.
Yo,
I bought
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
have
told
to
him, I
look
said,
it up.
don't put my uniform on the market. I'm buying it. Next week we have a backyard baseball game.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so
Back there.
already told I told our guy, I said, don't even put it on the market. I'm buying it. Like, yeah, like don't worry
that's
about it.
awesome.
Yeah, so
I saw
those
a
are fun.
glimpse of it, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah, those are fun. And especially for like, us growing up, you play backyard baseball on your laptops, or you're watching the Sandlot. And for me, that was those like uniforms like that are always really fun to wear.
The one teammate you wish you could have in a bat against just for bragging rights, just for fun.
The one teammate who probably my college teammate, probably like Dan Lingfield. Probably him. We were roommates in college. Just because he's a northerner from Boston. He likes to talk. He's gonna let you know when he gets you out. He's probably him.
Okay.
Definitely probably him.
Favorite moment in baseball?
Favorite moment in baseball? For me, winning like every championship to me is a favorite moment. I think for me, it's like when you work so hard all year and you put it together as a team, and because you know everybody's on the same path. I think to me those were my favorite moments. Being able to close out a game and win a championship and see everybody sprinting together and celebrating, because those are, I've been a part of the losing side of it. Even last year, I was part of the losing side of it. They don't feel good. But I've been fortunate to be a part of the winning side of it. And to me, winning championships they're the best. There's no better feeling. And in baseball, it's the best.
All right, this one, hopefully you can tell us something. But favorite bus moment? Because I feel like minor leagues, y'all are always on a bus, and I feel like y'all probably have the coolest moments on a bus.
Favorite bus moment? Usually, the fun ones. Usually, they always have guys come in and they'll make them sing karaoke songs and stuff. And those are always fun because you can put on just something absolutely ludicrous and make them embarrass themselves. Those are always, to me, those are always the fun bus moments, especially now. Like buses are very tame compared to what they used to be. Um, so they used to be a lot more. And Houston, I have two buses. We used to all be packed on one, and so that was the hardest part. We were packed on one, so like the camaraderie on one bus because everybody's jammed into one bus was just a different feeling. But a lot of the times it was they'd make new players, especially that come up. First thing they'd do, no clue. They'd make them sing karaoke, or they'd make them do something. They'd ask them a bunch of just embarrassing questions, things that would just make people uncomfortable, and they'd make them answer in front of everybody, and then they would chastise them for every answer they gave. And it was, we'd have like last year, guys, like every new player that come up, all the guys would get in a circle, and every player would ask them a question. And it could just be a normal question, or it could just be a completely crazy question. And you're just like, where did you come up with that? Stuff like that's always fun because it's like, you have to be careful with some guys. You don't know if they're going to get offended or whatever. But we've been fortunate where guys just don't care. They ask or say what comes to mind, and luckily the players answer as well, and so it makes it fun, makes it enjoyable. But yeah, no, it's the bus moments were always the most fun because it was just you're just packed on a bus. You make guys do realistically just dumb things, and they do it. And so
So I've got to ask, have they ever gotten you to sing karaoke? If so, what was your song?
yes, and for me, I saw they threw on Rihanna. They threw on Jesse's Girl, and then
Okay.
like I've only done like I've only done one Rihanna song, and then I've done Jesse's Girl. And I don't even remember. I don't know the specific Rihanna song. I don't listen to a ton of Rihanna. So they threw it on. And I was like, you just know the song because it plays so much. You're just like, all right, I know somewhat know these words. But I've done Jesse's Girl. They had me do that. But aside from that, I luckily I'm on the coaching side, so we usually pick all the songs,
Oh, okay.
and that's the best part about it. Yeah, we usually pick all
So
the
if you
songs. But
had to pick a song for a player, what would you pick?
if I had to pick a song off the top of my head for a player, usually I will go. I usually pick some type of Madonna song, most likely. Some of hers are a little out there, but I would make them sing in some type of. There's one Madonna song I think of that I'd make them sing, but just because it's just out there, it's a little raunchy, a little over the
Awesome.
top. But yeah, usually we try to find like little embarrassing songs like that. Madonna, you try to make Barbie song. You try to make them sing little things, and then fortunately for us, the players are so outgoing, they get into it, and then it's a show on top of everything else. But those are typically the songs we usually go with. That, or we'll make them sing like 80s rock songs because typically they're always good. Everybody can join in, and everybody typically knows the words to them. If not, they learn it pretty quick. But our Latin guys sing Rihanna. They sing a Rihanna or Adele. That's what they go with.
Interesting.
Yeah, because the word, when I look at it, like the words are, as a coach one time, why players go to that, and it's because the words are slow enough to hear them, and then they hear the words clearly, and so the words
Okay.
they click faster. So typically you'll hear, say, our third baseman, you'll hear him singing Adele or Rihanna, and his English is okay, but he'll be screaming Rihanna lyrics all the time. So that's something you'll see.
Amazing.
That is something, yeah, something you
Well,
see pretty often.
that's
Amazing.
awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time out
Thank
of
you.
your day to talk to us. Really enjoyed this. So before we let you go, I do want to, for our viewers, because they didn't get this little bit of information, is you guys went into this series this week against the number one team in your league at the moment.
We were tied for
Tied?
first. Yeah, we were tied. Fresno Grizzlies, the Rockies organization. We were tied for first. They won the first two games. We won last night. So we're down a game. Our first half ends June 18th. So we're pushing. It's a
Okay.
big series for us, big series for them. Great for the guys to feel what this pressure feels like. It's fun. It's one mistake, one pitch, one swing, whatever it might be, either can swing in our favor or theirs. And so it's fun for the players. It's rare to get to play this type of baseball this early, where every pitch, every little swing, everything matters. But it's good for them to be in it. They got to learn how to do it anyway, as they continue to go up. But yeah, we're against Fresno Grizzlies. Unfortunately, we're down 2-1, but we'll find a way.
Y'all got one tonight, don't you?
Yeah, we got one tonight. I don't know what time. Like maybe 7:15, I think. They played at 6:50 last 3 nights, or last 2 nights. We played 11 a.m. Tuesday, 6:50 Wednesday, 6:50 Thursday. So I think we're like 7:15 is firework night for them, Toy Story night. Um, so it should be packed tonight.
Well, good luck
Good luck.
tonight, and thank you again so much for your time. I had a blast.
Yeah.
No, thank y'all. I really appreciate you having me on, and thank you for dealing with my hotel connection too.
Oh no. Listen, great.
No problem. Guys, until next week, this is Inside the Foul Podcast. We'll see you next time.